This great new Michael Miller spam fabric certainly is cooking up some great tutorials for me. We're gonna do the chef's hat right now. Yeah, right. How fun is this? And I certainly can't take credit for the pattern of the chef's hat. This is a free download from another wonderful designer, Joanna Armour. I'm sorry, I just butcher everybody's name here, but this is just me. I am Rob Appell, Michael Miller Fabrics. Welcome to Making It Fun if it's your first time here. I love making projects, and we at Michael Miller have this awesome licensing for the spam brand food family. What do I call this stuff? I love it. Actually, I can't say that I've eaten much of it, but I am certainly enjoying the graphics and the design and the print fabric. We're going to dive real quick into this fun, easy chef's hat. I will point out we also have these great kits for the apron like I'm wearing and a tote bag as well. We're going to follow, like I said, this free, wonderful pattern download. It's super, super easy to do. It is from Joanna Armour, Stardust Shoes, blogspot.com. Give her some love. Thank you again for this. Now, I will point out I followed the directions to a T, and I am a bit big-headed. This thing's a little snug, and I used the 24-inch piece that it called for, but what you could always do is you could measure the distance around your head and then just add a few inches. So anyways, I'm going to walk you through the directions. The only change I might make is if you're big-headed like I am, or if you got lots of great hair, you might want to make this strap a little bit larger, right? So we are going to need a square made from our super wonderful print fabric, our spam. And this square right now is 20 inches square, and that's where we're going to keep it. And I'm just going to start to fold this right now, right sides in. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go over to my hot iron, and I'm going to start to set some creases because we're going to cut this square into a circle. So the first thing I need to do is set a really nice crease along this line here. And then I'm going to open it up and fold it the opposite direction, because I'll use those creases in a little while to really help get my hat nicely aligned inside the band. Once that's done like that, I'm just going to simply take it and now fold it into quarters, because we're going to cut a circle from this. And I really want you to pay attention here, especially to where the corner is. Do not cut the corner off, or we're going to have a terrible looking design. We're going to cut these raw edges out here. And here's kind of a cool trick. You can eyeball it, you can circle it around, or you can most certainly come up here on your ruler, and I'm just going to take the tip of where my ruler is, and I'm going to look up here and I see the number 2. So I can just draw basically a number 2, and everywhere I drop that, where that number 2 is, I'm just going to put a little dot, and I'm just using a Sharpie because I'm just going to cut these out. Make sure this tip isn't moving around or adjusting itself. We're just basically using this like a little compass, you know, and I'm just basically using a little mark as I come through here. That way my eye will just come through and connect the dots, but better than that, I'm going to use a nice sharp rotary cutter. I'm going to hang onto this corner while I'm starting, and then just going to give a little snug pull up here to keep everything aligned. And I'm going to go ahead and connect those dots with a nice sharp rotary blade, just like this. And if all goes well, we should have ourselves a really nice circle already cut. So that's done. That was a 20-inch square into our circle. Do not iron those creases out. We're going to want those here in a few moments. The next 2 pieces you're going to need, one piece is a fabric. I'm using our cotton couture, our cream color fabric, and this piece has been trimmed down to 8 inches wide. Wouldn't change that, but it's 24 inches long. Minimum is what I'm going to say now. You might want to make it 26, something like that. Just a little bit longer, but we will finish this off in a little bit with some Velcro, so it is still adjustable as well. I'm also using my wonderful Heat and Bond. It's a lightweight interfacing, and I say Heat and Bond, but it is from Heat and Bond, but I think of a fusible web, but this is the fusible interfacing. It has a rough side to it, so on that rough side, I'm going to now put those bumpy rough sides up, because that is the glue. I'm going to take my fabric and I'm going to lay it right down on top so that I may iron. Oops, I want to iron all of it. And we're just going to get this now nice and hot. Use a little steam if you like. and really bond the glue, the fusible interfacing to the back side of the band fabric. This is our cotton couture here. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to take this and I'm just going to fold it in half, longwise like this. We're just going to find and make a nice crisp line for our top, which actually becomes the bottom of the hat. Here. And now we're also going to finish our raw edges. So I'm going to take this raw edge, I'm going to fold it over this way. I'm going to hit it with the iron to secure. Fold it up nice like this. And bring it right over to my sewing machine. And I'm going to sew that edge closed right now to get rid of all of the raw edges. Quickly doing the same to the other side. I like to start at the top corner and sew to the bottom corners, but I do want to make sure those bottom corners are aligned. And on this second side, actually, now that I've come all the way down to this bottom edge, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that everything is secured. Let's actually go ahead and back up a stitch or two. So now as I turn, I can use the edge of the foot as my eyeball. And now I'm going to go ahead making sure that both of the edges are lined up nice and secure here. I'm just going to finish this off completely. There will be raw edges up here at the top, but we're going to lose those when we sew in our cap portion of our chef's hat here. Let's take a second and tidy up our threads. Okay, and now what we want to do is we want to take these and we're going to go ahead and let about a 1-inch overlap here. And we're going to set a straight pin up and down like this. Now what I want to do is I want to divide this into quadrants or quarters myself. So basically from where that pin is over here, I want to set another crease. I know you're thinking those creases are probably going to line up with the creases we made earlier in the hat cap, and you're exactly right. Now that that crease is made, I'm going to line up that crease to the pin, and I'm going to set 2 more creases, effectively dividing our strap or our band into quarters. And we'll do the same here for our top piece. So I've got those 4 pieces. I've got a handful of pins set right here. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wonderful Spam fabric and I'm going to drop it in. And if you really want to get things oriented so it looks perfect, I want to check my print and everything, set it in, and now I'm going to push it in so that it's right sides down, right sides touching the inside of the Spam cap. And as I did it, I found one of my creases. So I'm going to actually pull that crease and match it right up to where that first pin was here. Now I'm going to come across the cap, find that other crease, find the crease across the cap, making sure I'm still right sides together. And I'm going to pin it so that those raw edges match up right now. Matching the third crease. Making sure nothing's gotten folded weird. Finding, matching the fourth crease. Now I'm just going to split the difference in between. So as I push in this center fabric here, the cap fabric, I'm going to kind of find the difference here between where the two pins were. I'm going to kind of pin that in between. And at this point, you're just kind of guesstimating. It's cool. I'm going to pin. Then I'm going to place one more pin kind of in the middle. And I found as I was sewing this top part, it's kind of like you're your own little miniature ruffler. We're just going to kind of ruffle this in as we go. So take a moment, set a pin. You're going to have one in between the two center pieces you just made. And then two more. So you're going to set 3 more pins in between each quadrant. And we're going to stitch these together here in just a second. And just like that, we've got all of the pins marked around. Again, just kind of a rough gathering you've created here. This would not be a great time to try this on. We're going to head over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to start with the same part, this union, where the band or the strapping comes together. Oh, and right now what I want to do is I want to be looking at the bulk of the fabric. Now, one of the rules here, we never sew over pins at making it fun. So I'm going to pull this center pin right now as I'm getting ready to stitch. But I have a lot of bulk right there, so I'm going to slide this under before I do any other manipulation. My eye is looking right here along the edge to make sure I'm on the edge of the fabric band for the strap here, and I'm also have my fabric nice and gathered. I'm going to take a couple of stitches here, and now at this point I have secured everything, and I can start to use my scissor and just kind of tuck what would be maybe an inch worth, tuck, tuck. And now I'm just looking along this edge ever so slowly. And as I start to approach a pin here, I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to tuck, tuck, tuck. And I just keep tucking in between pins as I go. And you really just need to make sure you're watching this outside edge here, making sure that it's staying in a nice even pace along this band that you're sewing, and also that none of this extra is slipping back out the outside edge. So it's real simple, but do take your time as you come around. Do a lot of organizing of the bulk underneath, and then just keep dropping that presser foot. Keep on working it as you go. Of course, I will mention, if you have any kind of hot rod sewing machine that lifts its foot as it drops its needle for you, this is the perfect time to use that bonus feature. Watch what I'm doing. As I stitch, stitch, my foot lifts, I take my scissor, I make a little bit of gather, foot drops, pull my pin. So a lot of the work, or if you have a knee lift on your machine, same thing. You can use that so that you're not constantly reaching for your presser foot lifter lever while doing this kind of sewing. If you have a ruffler, you could probably put that on your machine too. And then as you come into that last section, or I should maybe say the first section where you started, we're just going to run a back stitch to secure those threads nice. And then we're going to go ahead and lift up that presser foot, pull it on out, and rotate it on, and look at this. We are basically all set. As you go around and check how cool that ruffling technique worked. Now, we're going to put in a little bit of Velcro along these. So I've got it stashed right here. You should use 1 inch. I have 3/4 inch. But either way, just make sure you know where to place it. And if you've never heard this trick before, sticky back Velcro should never be stitched through. So I'm not using sticky back. I'm going to use regular Velcro. And I'm going to go ahead and I like to have my soft side up against my head. So that's going to go on the outside of the strap like that. And I basically just bring it right on over to the sewing machine, making sure there's no extra bulk of the casing or the strap underneath there. I'm going to go along the long side first. Just come on down here to the corner, pivot in the Velcro, around. Back stitch to secure. Okay, so now that that is on the outside portion, the next piece is going to have to lay across here, and that's why we didn't secure all this to make it adjustable. So making sure you know right where it goes. Now I'm going to take this part and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to slide it up in here to my sewing machine. I like to do the long side first just to get it nice and secured in place. Back stitch, right? Clean up your threads. You'll have this wonderful adjustable chef's cap with your new favorite food group and fabric group, the Spam fabric from Michael Miller Fabrics. And yes, you saw it right here at Making It Fun. Thank you so much for enjoying yet another tutorial. Joanna, thank you very much for being one of our wonderful designers for Michael Miller Fabrics and sharing your great pattern with all of us. I'll make sure that pattern link is in the description below, folks, and we will see you in another video real soon. Please make sure you're subscribed and you're out there supporting your local quilt shops. Adios, amigos.